Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this particular video. I hope you're all having a good day. Today we're going to go through as much of the Book of Glory as we can get through in about 15 minutes for Red Puzzle, sort of hopefully spur on a little discussion as we sort of go through the rest of it on Friday. And I promise to give you guys some time to work on your project. I hope you're enjoying your project. All right, let's just jump into it though, because 15 minutes is not a lot of time. And I hope I can do this in one take. Usually takes more than one. And, well, let's get a little late in the day. Anywho's, Book of Glory. What we concentrated on is chapter 13, verses 1 through 20, and then 31 through 35, and then we're going to go through 18 through 19. For one class, we got through all of chapter 13. In one class, we only got through the first part. So again, we're just going to kind of go over things very, very briefly. So chapter 13, verses 1 through 20. Again, if you want to follow along, if you want to pull up your Bible alongside, you can do that. But again, this is just me sort of giving the big ideas and the big rundown and some ideas to think about and to lock away for a possible quiz in the near future. All right. And the first one being it's just a very different vibe, right? Chapter 13, which is the Book of Glory. Again, Jesus has now said that his hour has come. There's a real acceptance of what's about to happen. All right. Jesus isn't suffering on our behalf. Or again, think about Mark and the suffering servant. But Jesus is about to fully reveal his awesomeness. All right. Jesus is the one who suffered for us. Jesus is here to raise us up. He happens to suffer in order for us to be saved. But again, we're going to see his full glory. Again, the awesomeness that is Jesus. All right. Everything that Jesus does comes from God. He is a servant, and this is the theme of the chapter. And we see that immediately with the washing of the feet. It's a big deal. It's kind of gross, but this is the example that Jesus gives them as the role of a leader. The role Jesus is also beginning to pass on to the 12. All right. Real leadership is that of service. All right. Again, look at the world around. There's lots of people with money, power, and influence, and they see service as a race. All right. There is a finish line when you can stop helping because you've already done enough to compare, and compare that to a teacher, brag, yes, or first responders or essential workers. They see service. They never see service as a race. All right. Or something that can be finished, but more of what can I do next? And that's what Jesus is saying. Again, I've always said, what can I do more for the 12? What can I more performance and signs? What can I do more to make this lesson better? What can I do next? And again, eventually it comes to the point where I can lay down my life, right? That the full glory of Jesus' service is to lay down a life. Again, the quote unquote finish line is everything, right? Again, it's not, I give $1 million. I'm good. It's, no, I've given all of my money. You don't need to do that necessarily and things like that. But again, you shouldn't see service as a stopping point or a rest stop or something that you do and then you can move on from later. No, Jesus says that it's an always continuous thing. Think of yourself as a servant and say to yourself, what can I do next? What can I do better? How can I make the world a better place? That should be your motivator and nothing else. All right. And then again, we have this sort of the stake again, love one another as I've loved you. This is the greatest commandment. They don't get it, but we get it, right? Because again, Jesus lays down his life that we may be saved, again, out of love. No other reason other than that Jesus just loves us. And again, Jesus loved all the people before Jesus. Jesus has loved all the people since Jesus. Again, he loves you individually, name by name, person by person. He loves you simply because you are you. That's it. An unending, a fancy Greek term, agapic love. So we in turn must love like this. We must have no limits, all right, or say to someone, you need to do something to earn my love. Our hope is that they share in that love with us and that they share that agapic love with others, but it's not a requirement in order for them to receive our love. They simply need to be. All right. So again, service and loving others for the sake of others. All right. So again, you can see that we skipped over like quite a bit. But again, I really just want to concentrate on sort of the passion and the difference in the passion of Jesus in John compared to the Synoptic Gospel, because again, this is probably, with the exception of a few little minor details from like Luke and Matthew and Mark, that really most of our passion story and narrative comes from John. All right. So again, just breaking it down. If you want to follow along with the chapters and the verses and things like that, you totally can. All right. Again, they come for Jesus and they say, "Are you Jesus?" And Jesus says, "I am." And what happens? Get knocked down. All right. The fullness of Jesus' divinity is revealed, and they're literally seeing the face of God for like, whoa. Like they can't even still like it should remind us of Moses and burning, but oh, I'm not worthy. Like, don't look directly at me. Ark of the Covenant, right? There is a full acceptance of Jesus here. All right. Again, we maybe you remember again, Father, be your will, let this cup pass from me. And John, Jesus, like, this is my cup, right? Again, Simon Peter cuts off the servant ear. He's willing to fight tooth and nail for Jesus, and Jesus saying, "No, dude, this is what's gonna happen." And again, I'm not gonna say that I like it, but like, again, this is what's gonna happen. This is what's going down. I do not like. I'm not trying to get out again a very heroic, like Jesus is very heroic and very like, I'm going to lay down my life for you. Very different. Again, there's that humanity in the other stories that sort of like, oh, like, can I do a bake sale, Jesus or God? Can I do something? I gotta lay down my life. All right, I accept that, but like, there's that. I don't want to die. Jesus, very heroic in John. Like, you can think of Jesus as this sort of superhero in John's gospel. All right. And again, Jesus can only, should say, be arrested because he allows it. Again, if Jesus didn't want to be arrested, Jesus got so, but he says, all right, they can arrest me. All right. Verses 15 through 18, we've got Peter denies Jesus, first time. Um, Verses 19 through 24, Jesus doesn't deny anything he has taught and points out that he does in public. So what's the problem? Again, people are accusing like Jesus, like you're subverting people and you're trying to like rise up people against and all that. They're basically trying to make them into this big like conspirator, person. And Jesus is like, dude, like I've been in the synagogue, I've been in the temple, like I'm not hiding anything. What are you guys talking about? Like, what's the problem? And again, the problem is he's subverting, the power structure that's going on. All right, and then we have Peter denies Jesus again for the second time. He'll deny him the third time as well. We know that story, but again, it's worth skipping over if we're being honest. All right, so again, some new stuff here, verses 28 through 40. The Jewish authorities finally bring Jesus before Pilate. And they talk about how Jesus is the king of the Jews, but Jesus points. So again, this is Jesus and Pilate talking. They talk about Pilate talks about how they call him the king of the Jews. And again, Jesus points out, again, my kingdom's not of this world. If it was of this world, people would be trying to free him. And again, Jesus, again, sort of defying expectations of that messianic sort of king warrior. He's like, no, man, like, again, this is one world. This is one kingdom. My kingdom is in heaven. Like, again, like that's where I rule. Here, I'm just trying to get the two to sort of match, right? And then they speak about truth and the truth that Jesus has brought with him. Jesus doesn't reveal it to Pilate through his signs. We have read, we should remember. Again, we as the reader know the truth of Jesus' message. It simply leaves Pilate confused. Pilate doesn't want to find Jesus guilty. So again, we have that story with Barabbas. Again, he's a bandit. He thinks of himself as a king. He's really a pretender. He's a revolutionary. Again, he's basically like trying to get out of crucifying Jesus because he's like, this dude hasn't really done anything wrong, but I can't really upset people. I don't want a revolt on my hand. And then we get to chapter 19. Pilate has Jesus beaten. All right, he gets the crown of thorns, the purple robe, all of that other stuff, right? So Jesus gets beaten. Pilate tries to convince the crowd to release Jesus. He's like, dude, see, I beat him for you, right? Like, again, he's not really doing anything wrong, but he got a whooping, right? So he probably will stop. And the crowd's like, no, we want this dude executed. Again, Pilate tries to get out of the situation, and the crowd calls Jesus the Son of God. That freaks Pilate out, apparently. Like, he's like, whoa, Jesus, like, you didn't tell me about this whole Son of God thing. Like, Jesus, like, tell me what's going on. Like, I need to know. Like, I wanna pass a fair and worthy judgment on, like, but basically what Pilate is doing is pleading with Jesus, like, dude, I'm trying to set you free. Just like do what you're told and like just be quiet and you can live and you can continue preaching and all that other stuff. Again, Jesus doesn't say anything. He's not trying to get out of this, right? Again, he's heroic. I'm going to die forever. Like, this is what must be done. I'm going to die for the sins of those in the world around me. And so Pilate tries one more time to get the crowd to release Jesus, but they remind Pilate that Jesus calls himself the King of the Jews. It's ironic that they don't believe it. It's in fact true. But any king that isn't, right? Again, anybody calling themselves to be king is a traitor, and again, Pontius Pilate should have him executed. So He eventually relents, but says, "It's you, crowd, that passed the judgment on Jesus, not me." Again, he doesn't have the hand washing ceremony like Matthew, but that's the idea that, again, Pilate has nothing to do with this. All right. Verses 17 through 30, we've got Jesus executed between two men. Again, we don't have the bandit story or anything like that. But again, noteworthy is, again, above him, again, INRI. Again, that's Latin for "here is the King of the Jews." Again, you'd have your inscription above. Again, it would be written above the person what they were executed for, so you would know what not to do, right? Don't do that. Like, that's what got this dude here. All right. But what it says about Jesus is King of the Jews. And not only does it say King of the Jews, it's written in Greek, it's written in Latin, it's written in Hebrew. Again, all of the main languages of the world. Again, anyone would have been able to read, "Here is the King of the Jews," right? Jewish authorities aren't necessarily happy with this. All right, they wanted to read more like a charge rather than a fact. But Pilate says, "I did what I did." In other words, like, hey, this dude's the King of the Jews, like this Son of God. Sorry, tough. All right, and then we have that scene that we haven't had in any of the Gospels. Again, Jesus is with Mary, his mother, Mary Magdalene, another Mary, three Marys, and again, Mary says, to the beloved disciple, all right, that this is your mother. Again, sort of giving the response. Again, he would have been responsible for Mary's mother, but he's about to die, so he passed that responsibility to someone else, right? And then his last words are, "It is finished," right? Implying that it has been completed as according to God's will, as according to what the prophet said. Again, a very heroic, like, what a cool, going out line, right? Like, "It is finished." Whoo, that's cool, man. Like that. I mean, that's the kind of line that we all hope for when it comes to being like, "It's finished." Again, another really heroic um, attitude of Jesus and things like that. And again, if you read it, again, you no longer have the Cyrene in John's gospel. No one's helping Jesus carry his cross. He carries the cross himself the whole time and things like that. Very, very cool. But again, a heroic Jesus. All right. 31 through 37, it's Passover. Very, very clear. So again, according to Jewish customs, you cannot keep people on the cross. They must be prepared for burial before the Passover. So again, the Roman soldiers, they go around and break everyone's leg to speed up the death of the condemned. Crucifixion usually took days, not hours. But when they get to Jesus, they see that Jesus is dead, so they do not break his legs. Paschal lamb, right? Right? Paschal lamb. Can't break the lamb's leg. Again, it's got to be pure. So what they do to sort of confirm that Jesus died, they pierce his side. Again, this is the only gospel where we have the pierced side of Jesus. Again, you have the 5 wounds of Jesus. All right, both his hands, both his feet, piercing of the side, and what pours out? Blood and water. All right. Again, remember, water is the thing that keeps it. Again, Jesus pours everything out to the world, everything out for us, right? Blood and water. And then the last part we have 38 and 42. Joseph of Arimathea has Jesus buried. Nicodemus, again, he's a guy, we didn't really talk about him, but he's a Jewish authority, anoints the body. But both do it. They're both Jews, but they do it in secret. So again, there's a fear that there'll be reprisals if you believe that Jesus is the Messiah. All right, last chapter. Not a ton of time. Might scooch over about 15 minutes, but I think we can get it all done because it's really just this right here. So chapters 1 through 10. Again, this is unique. Again, we kind of get this, but again, this is the story that we think about, the resurrection of Jesus. All right, Mary Magdalene shows up. What do you know? Empty tomb. Oh. So she runs and tells Peter and the disciples. They come, they see an empty tomb, but they don't believe that Jesus is risen. All right. So again, then there's some angels, and it's Mary Magdalene, and she's freaking out, and then she sees Jesus. But it's only some gardener, right? She doesn't recognize Jesus until Jesus says her name, and then Mary says, "Teacher, like, you're here." And then Jesus says, "Stop clinging to me." Should say, clinging, that one. All right. Again, people are too attached to bodily Jesus. They're too attached to Jesus being on earth. And he says, "Mary, look, I'm not going to be here. I got to go to heaven soon. All right. But go tell the disciples that I have risen." Mary's jazz runs and tells everybody. All right. 19 through 23. Jesus shows up through a locked door. He breathes, literally breathes on them, right? Holy Spirit on the 12. Well, you'll see. All right, and then tells the 12 that they have all of his authority, including the forgiveness of sin, right? Very, very important. But who wasn't there? Doubting Thomas. Sorry, Thomas, you have the worst nickname ever. He says he doesn't believe, but a week later, Jesus shows up, and Thomas then touches the wounds of Jesus and his hand in his side, and he believes. But Jesus reminds Thomas, really, he's talking to us now, because we're reading this long after this stuff has happened and things like that. That more blessed is those who believe even though they've not seen. Again, Thomas, you should have believed because, again, you're one of my disciples. I'm glad you believe and all that other stuff, right? But blessed are those, us reading the Gospel of John now 2,000 years later, but again, 50, 60 years after Jesus, and some people are just newly converted, like those are the ones, all right? And then we're left with a reminder to believe. All right, so that's where we really have left off and all that good stuff. Really covers the book of glory. Again, I think we're very, very familiar, again, taking the time to do the book of signs and understanding what Jesus' signs meant and the teachings and the I am statements. Again, that's where we really wanted to concentrate on. We'll take a quick quiz and all this other stuff, and then we'll be able to sort of move into Acts and the letters very quickly, and then jump into church history. But hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it.